After 14 tumultuous months, all 6 officers charged in the arrest and death of Freddie Gray will walk away without a single conviction. The stunning decision was made this morning. Just as pretrial hearings were getting underway for Officer Garrett Miller, prosecutors announced they had dropped charges against him along with Sergeant Alicia White and Officer William Porter. WJZ is live with complete coverage of this story. Marcus Washington with reaction from the Penn North community where Gray grew up. Rick Ritter with reaction from the officers and their union. Megan McCorkle with an emotional Marilyn Mosby about why she dropped the charges. But we began with WJZ investigator Mike Helgren at Courthouse East with reaction to the bombshell announcement. Mike?
Vic, what happened here this morning was a quick, decisive end to a series of prosecutions that have lasted for more than 1 year, and the officers could still lose their jobs even though they've been cleared of any criminal wrongdoing. The stunning decision to drop all remaining charges against officers came just moments after the start of a crucial hearing for Officer Garrett Miller, who would have been the next to stand trial.
It was definitely a smart move. I think, quite frankly, it's something that should have occurred some time ago.
We do not believe that Freddie Gray killed himself.
State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's decision ended one of the highest profile prosecutions in Baltimore history.
As officers of the court, we must respect the verdicts rendered by the judge regarding the ultimate culpability of the adjudicated officers involving Freddie Gray's death is final, no matter how much we may disagree with his rulings.
People like Freddie Gray deserve the full protection of the law, and it's not something that we can simply say that the Freddie Grays of our country have been receiving. It's quite the contrary.
Prosecutors faced long odds with Judge Barry Williams on the bench. He acquitted 3 officers and made clear in his verdicts he disagreed with the prosecution's theories.
The state should be commended in some respects because it ultimately realized that it was time to cut its losses and move on and allow the city and to get back to normal function.
Probable cause to file criminal charges.
The state's attorney announced the charges just days after Freddie Gray's death. Gray was arrested in West Baltimore in April of last year. Police shackled him, hands and feet, and placed him inside a police transport wagon without a seatbelt. He suffered severe spinal injuries.
So whether you get found guilty or not guilty, if you believe the system works, and if you believe the judge was impartial, then I think that's justice.
And there have been lasting impacts from this case, including newly configured police vans with working cameras. There's also an ongoing Department of Justice investigation into the Baltimore City Police Department. Reporting live at Courthouse East, Mike Helgren, WJZ Eyewitness News.
Mike, thank you. Our complete coverage continues now with Megan McCorkle with more from City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, who angrily lashed out about the process. Megan?
Well, Mary, this is the first time that Marilyn Mosby has been able to speak about the Freddie Gray case in more than a year. When the judge issued that gag order, she calls the decision to drop those charges agonizing.
In the neighborhood where Freddie Gray lived, standing next to his stepfather, State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby announces no one will face criminal punishment in his death.
As a mother, the decision not to proceed on these trials, on the remaining trials, is agonizing.
Still, Mosby says she stands by her decision to bring criminal charges against the 6 officers.
We do not believe that Freddie Gray killed himself. We stand by the medical examiner's determination that Freddie Gray's death was a homicide.
The state's attorney firing back at the police investigation into Gray's death, saying some officers involved displayed obvious bias.
For those that believe that I'm anti-police, it's simply not the case. I'm anti-police brutality.
The Gray family upset at the outcome.
It was wrong what they did to my son. They lied. And I know they lied. I know they killed him.
Still, Gray's stepfather says he understands the decision.
We are very proud of the prosecutors who handled the case and did their best to their ability.
Despite no convictions, Mosby says the trials have led to major reforms in the police department, including body cameras, cameras inside police vans, and a reformed seatbelt policy.
There have been many gains throughout this journey to ensure that what happened to Freddie Gray never happens to another person that comes into contact with police.
And she says more reforms are still needed.
And the trials have had high stakes for Marilyn Mosby, who now faces several civil lawsuits filed by those officers. Reporting live, Megan McCorkle, WJZ Eyewitness News.
Megan, thank you. Complete coverage continues now with Rick Ritter live at the Fraternal Order of Police headquarters in North Baltimore with reaction from the officers and the union. Rick.
Well, Vic, just hours after the charges were dropped, the 6 officers and their attorneys made their way in front of cameras for the very first time. Their attorneys say that Freddie Gray's arrest was legitimate and the officers did what they had to do. One by one, the 6 officers charged in the death of Freddie Gray made their way in front of cameras Wednesday at Baltimore's Fraternal Order of Police, just hours after the bombshell announcement that none of them would be convicted.
There was no wrongdoing by any 6 of these officers.
Baltimore Police's FOP president wasted no time commenting on City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
The comments made today about our officers by Ms. Mosby were outrageous and uncalled for and simply not true.
Ryan says officers he spoke with were beyond upset about Mosby's comments as both sides continued to trade jabs.
They were outraged, very disappointed in the manner in which she said about our police department.
Ivan Bates, the attorney for Sergeant Alicia White, first offered condolences to Freddie Gray's family, but then spoke about the day officers were initially charged.
We also have to recognize on May 1st, 2015, that's when the nightmare began for all these officers.
Along with Freddie Gray's arrest and allegations that were never discussed publicly.
According to one of Mr. Gray's own friends, that they were ready to re-up and sell drugs.
Along with confusion over a knife Gray had during his arrest, which Mosby said was legal.
But during the discovery process, we were able to find out that the current state's attorney for Baltimore City was prosecuting 30 young black men for having this same exact knife during the same exact time period.
When asked how Freddie Gray was injured,
it's pretty evident from the evidence and from our experts tell us that there was an incident where he fell back, hit his head, the back portion of his neck, between stops 5 and 6.
Bates added that several attempts were made by his client, Sergeant Alicia White, who never made it to trial, to call an ambulance that day in April of 2015, and that it initially went to the wrong location and arrived late.
And one of the things the press doesn't know is that not only did they call when they found him, but my client, Sergeant Alicia White, called a second time because the ambulance was taking so long to get there.
And Police Commissioner Kevin Davis released a statement saying, in part, as the trials end and this chapter in Baltimore's history closes, it is important that we collectively resolve to direct our emotions in a constructive way to reduce violence and strengthen citizen partnerships. Now, all 6 officers are pending an internal review. We are told that in the meantime, all 6 will return to work for Baltimore City Police and that 4 of them have already started working. Reporting live tonight, I'm Rick Ritter, WJZ Eyewitness News.
Rick, thank you. Our complete coverage continues with Marcus Washington live in the Penn North community where he is getting reaction for us tonight. Marcus?
That's right, Mary. You know, right here at Penn North, just about 3 blocks from here is where Freddie Gray was arrested. So everyone in this community has been paying a lot of attention to those trials. No one happy with the outcome. It's the ending that many here in Penn North expected, but not one of them hoped for. 3 acquittals and charges dropped for the remaining 3 officers awaiting trial in connection to the arrest and death of Freddie Gray.
I don't understand how nobody is found guilty that's saying that he killed himself, and he obviously did not kill himself. Like, 1 person getting off, 2 people getting off, okay, but not 1 person found guilty.
In the community surrounding Penn North, just blocks from where Gray was arrested, people were invested in each trial, but many never feeling justice would happen for Gray's death.
We know violence begets violence. We don't want that, but we do know that someone should have gotten some kind of punishment for this child's life. It's almost to say that a child's life doesn't matter.
While what happened more than a year ago was devastating to everyone involved, some say what came from that black cloud of pain was a more unified community.
Well, the community changed because they're trying to bring it back together, which is a hard task. And they're working each and every day and praying every day to work as a community to bring back society the way it was.
It's more than just the police itself. We have a lot of systemic issues that are affecting this community every single day. And so we have to partner together.
And I'm told by many people that since Freddie Gray's death, what they have seen in the community is more people coming together, unifying to make West Baltimore better. We're live tonight at Penn North. I'm Marcus Washington, WJZ Eyewitness News.
Marcus, thank you. And our complete coverage continues now with Jessica Kataria with more reaction to this bombshell announcement. Jessica.
Well, Vic, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake is currently in Philadelphia playing a key role at the Democratic National Convention. She spoke about the dropping of the charges and where we go from here.
The community has been patient. They understand that justice and the reforms that we want to see take time. They've been protests and they've been peaceful throughout the trials, whether people agreed with the verdicts or not. And I anticipate that to continue.
Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is raising some eyebrows tonight with his comments on today's developments and what he's saying about City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
I do have a reaction to the prosecutor in Baltimore who indicted those police officers. I do. I think she ought to prosecute herself. Okay, that's my reaction. I think it was disgraceful what she did and the way she did it. Don't forget, she prosecuted the best case. What she thought was her best case is first. She should prosecute herself. She should be held accountable.
Also today, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan tells the Baltimore Sun that most of the blame falls on the prosecutor who failed to prosecute the cases and brought cases that she didn't have evidence for. Back to you, Vic.
Jessica, thank you. And here's what you need to know about the dismissal of all the charges against the remaining officers in the Freddie Gray case. There were no convictions against any other officers who actually went to trial. City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby defends the cases, saying she intends to pursue legislative fixes. The Fraternal Order of Police says justice was served. The officers still face internal investigations by the Montgomery County and Howard County Police Departments.